As I'm sure you're well aware, there have been some recent changes to the driver lineup. At key points in a season, drivers who are due to end their current contracts may choose to move between teams, or even go into retirement. I'll send you an email each time a move occurs to keep you abreast of any recent changes.
What's up, guys? Corey has no life here, and as you just heard from Emma, we have our first driver transfer happening here in our Formula 1 2019 Noob Career Mode. Episode 14 this week, today, coming from Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. And we're going to go have a look at where the drivers have transferred from and to. It's Lance Stroll and Nico Hülkenberg swapping. So it'll be Lance Stroll to Renault and Nico Hülkenberg going to Racing Point. So I'm pretty sure that move was probably started by Hülkenberg, because Renault is one of the bottom teams, as we're going to see here in a second when we go to the progress history. We're pretty much level pegging with Renault as far as the car development goes, and Racing Point is the fourth best car, just tied with Haas there a little bit. But yeah, this could be an absolute masterstroke by Hülkenberg, and maybe a little bit of a bummer there for Stroll. But we'll just have to wait and see how things unfold as we go into qualifying for Spa-Francorchamps.
It's qualifying time at Spa, one of the mightiest tracks on the Formula 1 calendar. Long straights, up and downhill, Eau Rouge as well. This track isn't for the faint-hearted. I want to talk briefly about the strategy in these qualifying sessions. Anthony Davidson, how can a driver adjust their approach to gain those critical extra tenths of a second?
Well, qualifying isn't about adjusting your approach necessarily. It's more about trying to repeat a low fuel run that you've practiced prior to this session. You're looking for perfection on the lap, and that's hard to achieve if you're trying something new. There are some variables that can stand in your way, however. Track position or unexpected yellow flags, for example. Coupled with ever-changing track conditions, it's important to be out there at the right moment. But as a driver, you have to try and ignore these distractions and just keep your mind focused on that one perfect lap.
So here we go now, qualifying time for the Belgian Grand Prix in Spa. We jump straight onto our lap. And immediately in turn one we lock up, go wide. We come up to Eau Rouge and Radillon now. Absolutely flat sticking it, no lift whatsoever. As we open up the DRS, see what kind of speed we can get out of this thing. And it looks like we're just about going to get to 334 before we have to hit the braking zone for this fast right, left, right section. Absolutely nail it though. Again, apologies if I don't call out corners by their names. I don't know what they're called. As we're actually coming up to the back of one of the Racing Point cars here. And we run very wide in the right-hander here. Could not get the car shifted down in time. You see Seb goes for a 149 to take quick time at the moment. We come across this long winding straightaway, which is not really a straightaway, but it's a part of the original track here at Spa-Francorchamps. Max Verstappen now goes for a 149.2 to take quick time at the moment. We cross the line. It's good enough for P2 at the moment. And we go to the end of qualifying here to see where we end up. And it's P16. So we had the worst qualifying that we could possibly hope for there. George Russell, our teammate, even pipped us, getting 15th position, because I rested on my laurels and thought that that was going to get us into Q2. Pierre Gasly up there in 4th position as well. So not a good qualifying result for us whatsoever, as both of our rivals take the advantage over us there. And we lost respect with almost every single team.
Tough luck there. It's not quite where we'd want to be on the grid, but chin up, it's not the end of the world.
So now we're just going to go and have a quick look at the weather for the race. It's going to be all sunshine, and now it's time to get into it. The Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps.
In the 48 races held at Spa between 1950 and 2015, the race winner has only started from pole position on 16 occasions. Qualifying yesterday may have set the order for today, but expect the unexpected here at the Belgian Grand Prix. As the saying goes, of course, anything can happen. And you know what? It usually does. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix, and we're just discussing the new driver lineup. So let's briefly discuss Nico Hülkenberg. They've just moved to Racing Point. How do you think they'll get on?
Well, I think this came as something of a surprise to most of us, but it could end up being a bit of a coup for the team. Getting a driver with experience higher up in the field might just be the boost they need, and I'm sure they'll be a big asset as the team continues to develop their car.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Perez, Vettel, Pierre Gasly and Raikkonen, Hülkenberg, Bottas, Weber and Max Verstappen, Ricciardo, Stroll, Kevin Magnussen and Norris, Russell and Williams, Carlos Sainz and Alexander Albon. Butler and Romain Grosjean sits at the back of the grid, and with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Alright, so it's time to grid up for our race here at Spa. We're going to have a quick little chat to the engineer and see what the strategy is going to be.
Don't worry about making places into one, it's far too tight. Concentrate on a clean exit so you get good momentum down the Camel Straight.
We're having a look at the strategy, and it looks like the team wants us to go very long on the soft tyres there. But we're going to flip the strategy. We're going to go for the hard tyres first so we can end the race strong on the softs. We have a look at the way that they wanted us to do it. But I just didn't think that it was very feasible to run that long on the soft tyres. So we flipped the switch, and we're going for a fairly even strategy as we go to 5 red lights, and we are underway for the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps. We'll go for a really big dive there, make it all the way into the top 10 just about. Have a lot of contact with Lucas Weber on the exit of the first corner there. That's us up into P9 straight away as we go up Eau Rouge into Radillon. Get a little bit loose in the second part of that series of corners. Get a little bit of a corner cut warning. As we come and break into this hard braking zone, right left right combo. You see we're right on the tail of Bottas at the moment, who's down in P8, which is really weird because he's got a Mercedes engine in that thing, so realistically he should be fast. It looks like Bottas is going for a move now. And it looks like it was on Hülkenberg in his brand new Racing Point car. We decided not to go for a dive there, just hold back for a little bit here. Because we got all 3 Mercedes teams in a row at the moment, with Mercedes, Racing Point and ourselves. We don't want to ruin the chance to possibly move into Racing Point or into Mercedes later on down the track.
You are derating. Lower the ERS deployment mode before you hit your deployment limit.
But Jeff, I'm not in control of the DRS. It's automatic. Shut up. See, at the end of the first lap there, Lewis Hamilton goes quick time so far. We move straight on to lap 2 here. We're still right behind Hulkenberg. We're going to see if we can get a good run on him going up Eau Rouge into Radallon. Maybe get an overtake on him on the back straight. We're in the slipstream. We've got no DRS, but we are in rich fuel mixture. We feint left, we go right, and we get the move made just as we're coming through the braking zone into the right-hander. And we even go purple to the first sector, which is to be expected, with this only being the second lap. Now we move on to the end of the third lap, right behind Raikkonen, who has just been passed by Bottas. We get the DRS on Raikkonen going through the pit straight.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the softs.
And we're going to go for a big dive on him into turn 1. We lock up and escort him wide, and we get the move made without a warning. And now we move on to lap 5, going up Eau Rouge into Radallon. We've got the slipstream, DRS, rich fuel mixture, and we dispatch of Bottas like he was the one racing in a Williams and we were the one in the Mercedes. And this time we go for a legit purple to the first sector. See, Gasly's up ahead of us, and we run wide on the right-hander there. Bottas gets us back. Oh, what a disaster for us. That is not good at all. I was thinking by this point, Bottas' tyres must be going off because he's on the softs. Move on to the end of lap 5 now. And we're just right there hanging on to Bottas. Just trying to pressurise him any way we can. We get slipstream DRS on him again. We stay in standard fuel mixture this time. And we're going for the outside pass. And we get it made going through turn 1. Now we move on to the end of lap 6. This is going to be our inlet. We're right up behind Gasly here. Gasly with the fast lap of the GP so far. Get a little bit held up by Vettel and Perez coming into the pits. But it looks like that's worked out for us so far. And we've even got Vettel pitting in behind us as well. And we get held up in the pits waiting for Perez and Vettel. We move on to when we're out of the pits here. Albon gets us as we come out of the pits. But we've got the DRS detection on him. We get DRS even though we're already halfway up his car. We've got the fresh tyres, we've got the fuel to burn. And we get the move made as we come out of the right-hander, going to the left, and now we're on the back of Grosjean. This is towards the middle of the lap now, a long sweeping left-hander, and we make that move look very easy indeed.
Fantastic. 2 cars at once. Very well done.
Jeff, I don't know what you're looking at, but that's not 2 cars at once. Now we move on to the end of lap 8, and we go for a very sketchy move on the inside of Sainz into the bus stop. Made a little bit of contact with him on the second apex there, but all was well with the world. And now again we're on the back of Gasly and Perez. These two are fighting it out very hard here on the alternate pit straight. Go through Eau Rouge up to Radallon. We got DRS, we get Perez very easily. Gasly comes and blocks us off. We have to make the hole, and we get past both of them. Now that's a double overtake that Jeff can be proud of. But we did have to make a lot of contact with Perez there to open up the hole so we could get through. We move on to the long left-hander here, and we're getting yellow flags up. We get out of the yellow flag area, and we go for a big drift. And it looks like the Force India of Perez has been struck with a mechanical issue of some kind. Oh, and he gets punted by the McLaren just for good measure. I don't see any smoke, so it looked like it was mechanical, electrical or hydraulic. As now we move on to the final lap. We've got Gasly behind us, giving us a little bit of pressure, but it's not really enough to phase us too much. We were kind of driving away from him a little bit here. As you can see, without DRS, we're only topping out at about 315 kilometers an hour going along this back straight.
4.5 seconds.
But from here, it was all about just trying to relax a little bit, and maybe, just maybe, we could get Leclerc, because Leclerc was going very slow on this last lap. I'm not sure whether he had some kind of issue or whether his tires were just off, but he was very slow indeed, and we caught up to him a ton. You see Leclerc there being a little speck in the distance. So the ultimate goal here would be to get the podium position. I'm not sure if we'll be able to do it. We go purple to the second sector. We're giving it all that we can. As we come through the bus stop for the final time. So we've got the two Ferraris there battling it out, and we just don't have enough to catch up to them, as Lewis Hamilton greets the checkered flag with the fast lap of the GP.
Top job. I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but you pulled through. Thank you.
And Mercedes have pulled off a great victory here today. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
So there we go, there is the podium. Lewis Hamilton with the win, Vettel P2, Leclerc P3. Looks like the Ferraris were having one hell of a battle there at the end of the race.
Let's see how the driver standings have changed. It's a great result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
I think I'm going to award it to the Williams driver. They pushed and pushed and found some fantastic performance. It was just a pleasure to watch.
Let's move on to the constructors. Meanwhile, good work from Racing Point this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
Alright, we start going through results here. We got P4 with quick lap of the GP, Pierre Gasly in 5th. We see Lucas Weber stayed in 9th overall there. George Russell made his way up to 14th. So good on our teammate, but maybe you should get to the points, mate. We scroll down further, and Devin Butler down in 19th. Take that, you cocky bastard. So we're going to go have a look at the standings real quick. We're still in P3 there. Looks like Leclerc has made his way up to P5 now in the standings. As we go over to constructors now, and Racing Point have overtaken Haas. And now it's time for an interview with Claire.
Your take on it. Did you struggle to get through all that traffic today? You're breaking all expectations. What's your secret? Would you say that your rival is still on your level? was a close finish. How are things between the two of you?
Great. Well, that's everything.
And that is the interview with Claire done. Now it's time to go through all of the updates. We see the rivalry update here. And we have beaten Pierre Gasly in the rivalry. And we're still leading our teammate in the inter-team rivalry. We have a look at the resource point updates here. We gained 712, which brings us up to 2434. We regain all the reputation that we lost from qualifying.
Great work. That's exactly the kind of result I'm looking for. Keep it up.
And now we
Looks like
go
one
and
of your
have a look at our
rivals has also
messages
been
real
invited
quick.
to a
Looks like
historical
Emma
event.
has got us some
This could be a
interview
good
transcripts.
opportunity to play up your
Feel
rivalry with the
free
press and
to
expand your reputation.
pause and have a look at the interviews here with Weaver and Butler, if you please. If not, no harm, no foul. Now we're going to go and have a look at what upgrades we should put onto the car. It was a tough choice for what we should go for, but I was looking over at the powertrain and those two major updates that are there for the energy store cells and the one below it, which I think is intercooler one. You see, we've definitely put on the energy store cell ECU, and we put on the ECU upgrade there as well. We're thinking about putting on the bearings and the fuel flow there as well, but we only had 400 and something resource points left, so we decided to leave it at this point. We're just having a look through at all the upgrades that are there to be done. And I reckon we might have to start looking at doing some of the little upgrades at the bottom of the trees there, just to start making some of these upgrades a bit cheaper. But for now, guys, this is going to end off this episode. I'd like to thank you all for coming out and having a watch. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And as always, we're going to leave you with the highlights as provided by Formula 1 2019. And until the next episode, I'll see you next time.